Welcome to Culture Talk. This is the segment where we talk about culturally relevant topics that you can use to start conversations about your faith. And I am joined today with John Bloom. He is a professor of physics and the director of the Masters in Science and Religion program at Biola University. And we're going to be talking about an exciting topic. First of all, thank you for joining us, John.
No problem. Glad to be here.
You know, we're very excited about the 40th anniversary of Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. And you know what? You've got a background in archaeology, so can you give us a brief kind of a background of what you do?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of a paradox, I guess. You know, I've got I did a PhD in physics, but became very interested in apologetics. And, you know, how does one fit the Bible and science together? So I went into theology, Old Testament studies, but ended up in ancient Near Eastern studies, in particular in archaeology, because that's where the evidence is that we can get our hands on about the reliability of the Bible and just the general history and times of the culture when the Bible's written. So yeah, it's a fascinating area to be in.
And you know, you have given a lot of conversations and talks on kind of how we use archaeology to demonstrate the reliability of the Bible. Can you give us like maybe one or two discoveries that lend to showing the reliability of the Bible?
Well, that could be hours of conversation, but the one that just a couple of them that stick in my mind. It's known as the Tel Dan inscription. The Tel Dan inscription. This was discovered in a dig back in 1993, 1994, where they found a memorial stone from King Hazael of Syria. It dates back to about 800 BC. But in it, he's boasting about having conquered the city of Dan. And he mentions the king of Israel, and he mentions the king of Judah, but he calls him and gives, the name is unfortunately missing, but the title of the king of Judah is the house of David. So that's the first mention of David that we've got outside the Bible. And again, for skeptics who would say, oh, all that history about David and Solomon is just made up and so on. Here we've got, you know, memorial inscription here that names the dynasty of David. And he must have been historical to have that kind of a name associated with later kings.
And
so,
go ahead.
Yeah, so that's one. To me, another one is the Dead Sea Scrolls, just that incredible discovery. It's often considered the greatest find of the 20th century, particularly the Isaiah scroll, which is found intact, the complete manuscript, and it just shows how accurately the scribes copied these sacred scriptures. Just you know, only 2 or 3 errors over the course of 1,000 years of copying the text. So the accuracy with which these things were preserved is incredible.
Yeah, you know, and I'm sure, like you said, there can be hours and hours of conversation. So these are just the two that come to mind. But I know that there are also some examples of what people call like crackpot archaeology, which we think is kind of a funny pun. Can you give some examples of some hoaxes in archaeology that maybe some people aren't caught up on and they're still using them as examples to show the biblical reliability?
Oh, well, yeah, on that side, there's kind of extremes from skeptics on one side and then maybe overly zealous people on the other. And one on the overly zealous side is, you know, some of these claims of, oh, we found these chariot wheels, you know, there in the Red Sea and so on. Or we found the Ark, we found Noah's Ark, you know, it's buried in this glacier up there on Mount Ararat. And yeah, unfortunately, there's those sorts of things that are out there. So one has to kind of be a bit cautious in terms of the claims that are made in archaeology, both for the one side of people, you know, claiming they've found everything, and the other side of the naysayers who say, no, there's nothing there. So,
Yeah, thank you for that. I think that's very helpful for people to kind of understand that when they hear something, especially if it might sound too good to be true, to kind of do some research and see if there's like some sound data to support what they're saying. Now, of course, there are some things that we don't yet have evidence for. So how, as Christians, might people think of the things that remain kind of undiscovered?
That's one of the things in archaeology is, what are the odds that you're going to recover something from thousands of years ago that's probably rotted away or been burned or something like that. So we only hope to recover a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of artifacts from the past. So the standard saying in archaeology is, absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. The fact that we haven't found anything from the ancient past about some particular event or something like that by no means is proof that it never occurred or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, our odds on recovering something from thousands of years ago is incredibly small. So that's why the finds that we do get are so incredible, because they're sort of, oh wow, gee, there actually is evidence for King David for something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, there actually is, proof that these ancient manuscripts, these ancient scriptures were highly valued and very, very carefully, preserved and copied for centuries. So the fragments of evidence that we do get give credibility, but yeah, there's just vast oceans of things that are lost and will never recover. So
I think that's really helpful. And I think that for people who are watching, hopefully they will kind of understand what you're saying, like that even if we don't necessarily have all of the evidence, we have enough to kind of piece together a picture that helps point to the reliability of the Bible. So if someone stumbles upon a discovery that they hear about, what would be some places where you would say, here are some good places to check to make sure that it's, kind of on, it's correct?
Wow, that's a good question, because this is kind of sad to say, but a lot of the world of archaeology today is dominated by skeptics. They're called the minimalists, and the sense there is that they will do everything they can to sort of minimize the importance of the discovery. Maybe a famous example of that would be Kathleen Kenyon back in the 50s working at Jericho, where she, the evidence really pointed to Joshua's conquest of Jericho in terms of the destruction and the type of destruction. But she conveniently dated it a century before the time of Joshua, and said, well, maybe the Hyksos did it or somebody else did it. So that's one of the kind of the dilemmas in archaeology today is, I wish I had, hey, here's a source that I know is 100% reliable I can point you to. Maybe this is something reasons can pick up on. Because, a lot of groups are reporting archaeology, but they'll give it that bias. Probably one of the best groups on it that I'm aware of here is the Associates for Biblical Research. ABR is the name. And there are some conservative archaeologists that they're trying to do good work, not sensationalize anything, and respond to skeptics that are trying to minimalize it. And just, let's go for what's actually here. Let's seek truth. So Associates for Biblical Research is a good group that's doing work on that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I'm plenty to unpack here. Would you point anyone to your site or anything like that to kind of find more information?
Well, my own website doesn't have much on it, so I guess you're telling me I need to do something.
Well, they can find you on YouTube. That's how I found you.
Well, there we go. Yeah. So you can Google me on YouTube, and you can hear a nice synopsis talk that I give. We teach courses on biblical archaeology here as part of the Science Religion program. That's, again, very good. I have a colleague, Titus Kennedy, who's doing that. And again, it's really exciting work. It's really exciting evidence. Just have to sort of have wisdom, especially in responding to the skeptics that are tending to dominate the field out there. It's an unfortunate world that we're in. The skepticism is so dominant in these areas. And evidence that's really, really good is just kind of being brushed aside or just ignored or interpreted away. And you come at it without an anti-religious bias. What actually is this telling us about the past? And you go, that's actually very credible. Why are these people wanting to get rid of it?
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, you're a wealth of information, John. I really appreciate you coming on and helping us to understand archaeology a little bit more. And you know what? Let's celebrate Indiana Jones as well, the 40th anniversary.
By the way, we don't know where the Ark is. It's not in some warehouse.
Oh, this won't help, I suppose.
DC.
All right, thank you so much. So if you'd like to hear more on this topic, you can go to reasons.org and you can search for Avoiding Crackpot Archaeology.